Relocating to Charlotte sounds exciting, but if you don't know what to expect, it can turn into an expensive and frustrating mistake. So before you pack a single box, here are 10 essential things you need to know before making a move in 2025. I help relocation buyers like you every week get clear on what life in Charlotte really looks like before they make the move. If you have any questions or need a local expert by your side, call or text me at 704-231-6024 or use the link in the description to set up your home buyer discovery call. I'd love to learn more about your goals and make the move stress-free. I moved here in 2015, and of course, I'm from New York City, so traffic there is crazy. It wasn't a huge deal for me. Like, some people I know that live here like make a huge deal over a 20-minute or 30-minute drive. For me, that's nothing. Once it gets to an hour, that starts getting a little bit like, okay, I need to really think this over. What do I want to do? What time do I want to go? And things of that nature. But I want you to keep in mind, if you're moving from a major city to Charlotte, North Carolina, so what you're going to want to do, you want to keep in mind on those traffic rushes so you don't get a headache. Like, there's certain times I know not to travel on I-77. I try to go between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. And 1 p.m. is really pushing it because I do know that there is always traffic on I-77. If you're leading in to go into Huntersville or going all the way to Fort Mill, South Carolina. So there are parts of Charlotte where the infrastructure has to be upgraded. Remember, this wasn't always a major city like it is today. So let's get into the cost of living in Charlotte, North Carolina. So Charlotte, North Carolina, cost of living is 41% lower than that of New York City. And I'm talking about rent as well, okay? So in New York City, the median sales price is $799,000, okay? In Charlotte, our median sales price is $399,250. So do you see that? That's a huge difference on getting a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom in New York City and here in Charlotte. Our Charlotte's rental amount is actually about 53% lower than New York City. Our Charlotte's average rental amount is $2,105. So expect to pay about 19% less in groceries than that in New York City. And dining out is about 35% lower than New York City. So if you know me, you know I love a good martini. So in New York City, when I moved here in 2015, New York City, I would say a martini was probably about $15. And when I moved to Charlotte, a martini then was like $9. Now, a good martini is going to cost maybe $12 or $13. So let me know if you're from New York City and you like martinis. In the comments, let me know how much a martini is running now in the New York City. And I like to tell a funny story about the cost of living. My stepfather, may he rest in peace, you know, he came to visit us from New York City, right? And we had to make a stop. We have a Walmart here. So Walmart has everything you need, from groceries to clothes to jewelry, you know, depending on your level of style and things of that nature. But they have everything that you need. So my stepfather went there to just get some essentials, like underwear, deodorant, things of that nature. So, you know, he needed it. So we was like, all right, before we go home, let's go ahead and stop at Walmart. So we did that. And when I tell you, my stepfather, he went on a shopping spree. He couldn't believe the difference in pricing on like Hanes underwear that it was from in New York City. From socks as well. You know, like me and my husband was like, what's going on? He was like, August, like this is a deal right here. I need to rack up while I'm here now. So y'all go do what y'all have to do and let me finish in here. He bought some jeans and things of that nature. So it all worked out for him. So that's just a little bit of an example of the cost of living. Another one is, if you don't know, I have a dog, Penelope Ariana Coleman. She's a Shih Tzu. So when we first moved down here, what we are still paying is $50 for her to be groomed. And I mean a full groom. We're trimming the nails, cleaning the ears, everything, the works. When I was in New York City in 2015, I was paying $100 plus tax. Okay, so that's the difference as far as the cost of living from Charlotte to New York City. So let's get into schools. What we have here is private schools, public schools, and charter schools, and of course we have homeschooling. Private schools are going to run you $10,000 plus in tuition. And some of the well-known private schools here are Providence Day, Charlotte Latin, and Charlotte Country Day. Charter schools are open enrollment, has lotteries, just like New York City. When I moved here, my daughter went to a charter school in New York City, and yes, we had to submit an application, and she got drawn into a lottery. That's the same situation that they have here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then the public schools are address-based assignments, and that's the same as New York City as well. And one thing about the North Carolina, the school system, they are always reassessing. And that's because we're growing so quickly. They have to reassess, rearrange things. So keep that in mind. And also, another thing you're going to want to keep in mind, a highly graded school is going to be in an area where the home values are higher. So let's get into property taxes and state income taxes. Yes, we have the property taxes here in North Carolina and South Carolina, but let's take a look at the state income tax, okay? So if you're in a state that has no state income tax, please let me know which state it is. I know when I lived in Florida, we didn't have any state income tax, and that made a huge difference as far as living and financials. In North Carolina, the state income tax is 4.25%, and that is across the border. So if you are making $30,000 or if you're making $300,000, that 4.25% is going to still be the same for you. In South Carolina, they have a gradual range. I'm not going to get into that on this video, but if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and I'll give you all the information that you need to know. Let's get into the weather. So here in Charlotte, you're definitely going to see 4 seasons. In the summer, it is hot. It's hot. I can't deny it. It's hot. You know, I'm from New York City, so the heat there is kind of different because the buildings trap in that heat. So here, you know, we don't have a lot of buildings that are 20 stories, 30 stories like New York City. So it's different, but it's hot. I can't deny it. It is hot. The winters are mild. I no longer need a big coat. You know, I have fur coats. I have a North Face. I don't need it. I think I try to push out my fur coat probably. I can wear it 3 times in the winter, and that's pushing it because it's still not really cold enough for it. You can get away with wearing like a hoodie, a zip-up sweater, a thick sweater, and that'll keep you warm here in our winters. And keep in mind too, you're hopping in and out the car. So unlike the inner city, like New York City, you're walking and doing the public transportation and things of that nature. So you're more in the weather than you are here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And when it snows, by 11, 12 o'clock, it's already melted. You do have to be wary of that black ice because that does still exist. And sometimes it could cause major accidents on the highway. Recently, we've been having a lot of thunderstorms, and that seems to be pretty national, as well as the pollen. Okay, so we have a lot of greenery here. We have a lot of trees. There's a lot of countryside. So the pollen is definitely real. But from my counterparts and my friends and family in New York City, they're telling me too the pollen there is pretty high in these past years. And I have bad allergies, so that pollen definitely gets to me. So make sure you keep your Claritin by your side. So let's get into HOAs and community restrictions, okay? Here in North Carolina and South Carolina in subdivisions, they have a HOA. So the HOA is really a governing party that makes sure that the home values continue to appreciate, okay? But with me saying that, you know, everything has to go through the HOA. If you want a fence, you have to let them know you're putting the fence up, where it's going to be, what kind of fence it is. Let's say if you want to get a pool, an in-ground pool or above ground pool, some communities may not even allow a above ground pool because they may say that may decrease home values. So you have to make sure in your HOA documents, your CCRs, that you know everything that is going to make sure you can live your lifestyle. So I have a seller that is selling her condo, and what she told me, we went over, did my listing presentation and things of that nature. And one thing she told me about her HOA, that they don't allow security cameras. So who would have thought of that? Who would have thought of that? So you want to make sure that you're telling your real estate agent everything about you, so we can make sure when we get those documents, when you see a house that you like, we're going through that HOA and make sure that everything there is okay with you. A lot of times too, in the HOA documents, let's say you have a business, you're a handyman, you're a roofer, or things of that nature, and you have a car that actually advertises what you do. A lot of HOAs do not want that on the street. So what will happen is you're going to have to make sure that you're always parked in a garage. So keep in mind, there's always someone patrolling with the HOA. You're going to also want to make sure like your grass is cut, because they patrol that as well. So that's something you're going to have to get used to with living here in Charlotte, North Carolina area. You're going to have that grass, and it does have to be cut. Then we're going to get into that new construction resale. I did do a video on that already. Here's the link to that video. You could go ahead and watch that. So construction and resale homes. New construction homes are plenty. Okay, pretty much every area in Charlotte, if you want a new construction home, you'll be able to get it. It's just going to be on what your purchasing power is. Okay, and resale homes, that may be a little bit as far as shorter inventory, because a lot of people are living in their houses longer, so they're not wanting to make that move right now, and they're also not wanting to give up that interest rate from when they refinance to that 2% and 3% interest rate. They're not wanting to refinance into that 6 or 7% interest rate. So that's something to keep in mind. And if you're interested in new construction, please don't hesitate. You can have access to my new construction website. It's augustmayer.com/new homes. So let's get into the job market, okay? So I previously told y'all that I used to be a nurse, and I worked at CMC Maine, which is now Atrium. So that healthcare field is definitely booming, okay? Keep in mind that CMC Maine also has medical schools associated with it. So we have CMC Maine, Atrium, and we have Novant. Those are the two major healthcare facilities that are in our region. So in Gastonia, there is, I believe Caramont is out there, and they just built a huge facility there that is really, really, really nice. And so what that is doing is having more jobs in that healthcare field and bringing more people to this community, bringing more people to this area. We also have the headquarters of Bank of America. So we have the global headquarters for Bank of America. That's that financing. Charlotte is known for their financing. We also have Wells Fargo and Truist here as some of their major operation systems. They're located here in Charlotte. And then let's get into tech. Okay, so we're slowly creeping up as far as being a techie area. So we have companies like Microsoft, Red Ventures. They're making their marks here in our Charlotte region. Let's get into the utilities. So Duke Energy, that's going to be your electricity. Piedmont Gas, that's going to be your gas. And water and sewer, they can sometimes be county or city. So keep in mind here, yes, we have gas, and we also have sewer. So in New York City, we only had electricity, water, and a gas bill, I believe. Okay, so you want to add that sewer bill onto your list as far as utilities that are going to be needed when you make that move to the Charlotte, North Carolina area. And the Southern hospitality here is real, okay? When I first moved here, I'm from New York City, Harlem to be exact. I grew up on 102nd Street between Amsterdam and Columbus, and then my mother moved to Uptown 131st Street between 5th Avenue and Madison, okay? So that culture as far as Southern hospitality, it was only on TV for me. But when we moved down here, when I tell you people smile, said please, thank you, it was definitely something that I had to get used to, because I was used to someone's talking to me or if they're saying thank you or please, they want something from me, I need to get my pocketbook, make sure they're not trying to take anything from my pocketbook. So that was an actual culture shock for me. And you want to know what's crazy? Now I'm that, hi, please, thank you. I'm that person. I'm always greeting people. And it's just funny how you can just get adapted to your environment. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is a bit of a slower pace here in Charlotte. So everyone is not hurry up, got to get this done. There's definitely a slower pace here in Charlotte. And that goes into pretty much every aspect of living here in Charlotte, North Carolina, be it from work, from going out. People are a lot more laid back than in New York City.